The Pacific was calm, just after sunrise. The crew of the USS Valiant was settling into their morning routine when everything changed in an instant. Inside the radar room, a blip appeared, fast, direct, and heading straight for the carrier's restricted airspace. Operators froze, eyes locked on the screen. Over the intercom came the call. Unidentified aircraft, bearing 2110, altitude dropping fast. Then, cutting through the horizon, the shape emerged, sleek, menacing, and unmistakable. A Chinese J-16 strike fighter, wings slicing through the morning sky like a blade. But this wasn't a high-speed attack run. The landing gear was coming down. On the deck, alarms blared. Yellow shirt handlers waved frantically, clearing the landing zone. Pilots strapped into armed F-18 Super Hornets in seconds. Inside the Combat Information Center, the air boss barked orders while comms officers shouted into open channels in Mandarin and English. Chinese aircraft, state your intentions. No answer. Just the rising roar of twin engines bearing down on them. Was this a defection? A navigational error? Or a dangerous game meant to test America's resolve? One wrong move could turn this into an international crisis. If you were in command, would you stand firm or back down? Let me know in the comments. Press 1 for stand firm, press 2 for de-escalate. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. The deck became a storm of motion. Below, damage control teams stood ready for anything. Fuel leaks, fire, even a hostile attack. On the bridge, Captain Raymond Cole gave the order. Launch intercept, now. 2 F-18s roared off the catapult, climbing toward the intruder. Their mission: identify, intercept, and, if needed, drive it away. But the J-16 stayed its course, slowing to landing speed. Its canopy caught the morning light, the pilot's helmet reflecting nothing but cold steel. Analysts in the CIC dug into fresh intel. Just a day earlier, Chinese naval drills had intensified near Hainan Island. Was this connected? A chilling thought spread through the crew. What if the jet carried something deadly? Biological agents, surveillance gear, or explosives? The air boss made one last attempt. Unidentified Chinese fighter. Divert immediately or you will be engaged. Silence. If you think the Navy should have fired a warning shot right here, type 1. If you think they should have waited, type 2. A streak of light cut across the sky. An F-18 fired a warning flare, blazing just ahead of the Chinese jet. For a split second, it seemed the pilot might turn away. But then, he kept coming. Now the Red Star insignia on the fuselage was clear as day. Marines positioned in the hangar, weapons low ready, eyes fixed on camera feeds. Captain Cole faced the hardest call of his career: shoot it down or let it land. History held examples where hesitation had saved lives, but also where it had cost them dearly. Another flare blazed. Still, the J-16 aligned perfectly with the carrier's glide path. 15 seconds to touchdown. The arresting wires were ready. The blast shield was up. Type 1 if you think he should have allowed the landing. Type 2 if the jet should have been stopped at all costs. The J-16's engines thundered as its tailhook dropped toward the wires. Captain Cole's hand hovered over the comm switch. The intercepting F-18 swept low, afterburners screaming a last warning. But the Chinese jet showed no fear. Washington demanded live updates. Beijing's official response? We are looking into it. No confirmation, no denial. 10 seconds. 6, 4. A burst of chaff exploded from an F-18's flank, glittering in the sunlight. A final attempt to force a climb. The J-16 ignored it, slamming down on the deck, tailhook snagging wire 3. Security teams swarmed, weapons drawn. Captain Cole's voice thundered, "Secure that aircraft. Nobody approaches until EOD clears it." Explosive ordnance teams rushed in. Overhead, the F-18s kept watch as radar showed multiple fast-moving ships, Chinese destroyers, closing in. Then, the moment of truth. The JS-16's canopy hissed open. Instead of raising his hands, the pilot reached for something on his chest. Marines froze. A tense voice shouted, "Object in hand, stand by." It wasn't a weapon. It was a battered leather pouch. Inside, sealed documents and a data drive stamped with Chinese military insignia. His first words, in broken English, sent chills down the deck. "I have proof. They're planning something big." In the secure operations room, the pouch's contents were laid out. Maps of Pacific shipping lanes, encrypted comm logs, high-resolution images of US bases in Guam, Okinawa, and Hawaii. The pilot, calling himself Captain Liang, claimed he defected to stop a preemptive strike within 6 months. Some intel matched known surveillance patterns, but other details hinted at operations far beyond what US intelligence expected. This could be the breakthrough of the decade, or a trap designed to push America into overreacting. Meanwhile, Chinese destroyers halted just short of the carrier, broadcasting demands for Liang's return. The Pentagon held emergency meetings. The State Department walked a razor's edge. Keep him and risk war, or hand him back and lose potentially critical intel. On the mess deck, sailors whispered. Was he a hero, a traitor, or a ticking time bomb? Captain Cole knew one thing. The next 48 hours could decide the balance of power in the Pacific for decades. If you think keeping him is worth the risk, type 1. If you think sending him back avoids disaster, type 2. And remember, subscribe, share, and hit like, because what's inside that pouch could change everything.